The frozen curtain. No one remembered who first called it the wall, but those who had seen it never forgot. Dr. Elias Wren pressed his gloved hand against the reinforced glass of the observation bay, his breath misting as the twin-engine surveyor plane banked along the frozen coast of Queen Maud Land. Below, the towering wall of ice, jagged and endless, rose like the edge of a shattered world. Even from the sky, it dwarfed everything. "This is it," said Commander Isla Cross, her voice flat through the comms headset. "Grid point Echo 7. No civilian overflight permitted. We've got 6 minutes." Wren glanced over. Cross wasn't one for dramatics. Former Royal Navy, contracted under the Polar Research Accords. She followed orders, no questions. But Wren had many. "Who decided we weren't allowed here?" he asked. She didn't respond. Instead, she adjusted the controls and descended slightly, enough for the fuselage to tremble. Wren had been recruited by the International Geophysical Union, ostensibly to study subglacial seismic patterns. But the encrypted file he'd received weeks before departure had little to do with earthquakes. It contained a single image, an unnatural fissure buried deep along the ice wall's base, geometry too precise for nature. He wasn't told where the image came from. "You ever flown this close before?" he asked, trying again. Cross gave a half-shrug. "Twice. Once last year, once during the black winter of 18. Same route, same restrictions." "What did you see?" "Nothing. And that's what made it worse." The hum of the engines filled the silence. Below them, the wall loomed higher, catching the light in a way that distorted depth. There were rumors among the older researchers, whispers of structures buried beneath the ice, ancient and forbidden. Officially dismissed, of course. 3 minutes, Cross said. "Say your prayers." Wren leaned forward. Through his binoculars, he spotted a shadow where there should be none, an indentation in the wall. Not a natural cleft, but a passage, as if something had once moved through. His pulse quickened. "I need coordinates," he said. "That canyon, mark it. We don't have clearance." "Mark it," he repeated. Cross-side, entered the sequence into the onboard system, and the screen lit up with encrypted geotags. "There. But I'm warning you, this place doesn't like company." The tension hung between them as the aircraft banked once more, veering sharply back into approved airspace. Wren sat back, watching the ice wall recede. It wasn't just its size, it was the silence. Not even the wind seemed to dare whisper around it. Back at base, Wren filed his report under routine observation. No mention of the fissure. No mention of the shadow. That night, he reviewed the footage alone, frame by frame. And there it was again, a structure embedded in the ice, too angular to be a trick of shadow. Something buried. Something waiting. He rewound the footage. Paused. A shape, barely visible in the glare. Tall, symmetrical, ancient. He exhaled, unsure if it was awe or fear. There was something behind that wall, and someone didn't want it found. But he intended to return. And next time, he wouldn't just observe. He'd enter. Whispers in the ice. 2 weeks later, Dr. Elias Wren stood inside the dimly lit command tent at Outpost Orion, the last line of manned research stations before the no-access perimeter. Outside, the wind howled like a wounded beast, rattling the aluminum walls. He hadn't slept. Not really. Not since he'd seen the structure in the footage. Every time he closed his eyes, he dreamed of doorways buried in ice and voices calling through snow. "You're sure about this?" asked Cross, her arms folded tightly across her chest. "As sure as I can be," Elias said. "There's something there, and I've mapped its location within 2 kilometers. We can reach it by snow crawler." Cross didn't respond immediately. She looked past him to the flickering monitor, still paused on the strange, jagged outline buried in glacial blue. "You're not the first to think you found something." That caught him off guard. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then crossed the tent and pulled open a locked drawer beneath her workstation. From it, she retrieved a weathered notebook, handwritten, brittle with age. Belonged to Dr. Henrik Solberg, geologist, assigned here during Operation Quiet Echo. He died in '94. Disappeared, technically. They said he wandered off during a wideout. Cross placed the notebook on the table. letting Ren open it himself. Inside, the entries were sparse but haunting. Magnetic disruption increasing near grid Echo 7. Found metallic resonance. No ice core should ring like that. Another, heard them again. Like humming. Beneath. These weren't official entries, she said. He kept this private. Found it hidden in his bunk when we were renovating the station 2 years ago. Ren turned another page. A sketch leapt out at him, crude but unmistakable. The same jagged formation he had seen on his footage. The same unnatural doorway. I think Solberg found it, he whispered. And whatever he found, he didn't come back. They set out the next morning, just the two of them, navigating the snowcrawler through an endless white oblivion. The machine growled beneath them, headlights slicing through a curtain of drifting snow. Signal drops out in about 20 minutes, Cross said, checking her instruments. After that, we're on our own. Perfect, Ren said with dry resolve. The ice wall emerged from the storm like a sleeping giant, silent, motionless, cruel. The GPS blinked red. They were there. They exited the crawler, footsteps crunching in the snow. Wind roared past the crevasse Elias had marked. Larger now, its edges raw like something had clawed its way through. He moved forward, pulling out a portable scanner. The readings were erratic, electromagnetic surges pulsing from beneath the ice. He placed a gloved hand on the frozen wall. It thrummed faintly, almost like breath. Cross watched from behind. This isn't geological, she muttered. This is manufactured. Suddenly, the scanner beeped violently, an energy spike. The ice beneath Elias's feet shifted. He stumbled back as the ground trembled, a low groan rumbling from deep within the fissure. The snow seemed to exhale. Then silence. Complete. And in that moment, something echoed back. Not sound, but intention. They stood frozen. Ren looked at Cross, voice low. We just knocked. And something knows we're here, she replied. They turned back to the crawler, the wind rising behind them. Neither spoke on the return. The wall faded into white behind them, but it didn't feel like it had let them go. It felt like it was waiting, beyond the barrier. They returned to Orion in silence, both pretending not to hear the low-frequency hum that lingered long after the snowcrawler powered down. Ren spent the night poring over the scanner's data. The readings didn't make sense. Energy spikes, rhythmic pulses, and patterns that resembled coded transmissions. But the most disturbing part wasn't what was recorded. It was the 10-second segment of static that wasn't. Audio distortion that cut out everything. No wind, no static, no machine hum. Just absence. As if something had listened and responded. Cross entered the lab just after dawn, a thick folder in hand. I pulled archival intel from declassified logs. The pattern matches Project Echo's early seismic charts. They never published them. Ren opened the folder. Satellite photos, hand-annotated maps, and a list of names, all crossed out. Every team that had surveyed Echo 7 vanished or was reassigned. Some listed as medically unfit, others never spoken of again. How did you get this? He asked. I've been stationed here long enough to know where old files are buried. Most people stopped asking questions after Solberg vanished. Her voice dropped, but I never did. They examined a composite image of the site, one detail consistent across every scan, a large, circular depression, nearly a mile wide, beneath the ice wall. Looks like a crater, Ren muttered. Or an entrance, Cross added. We're not just looking at a structure. We're looking at something alive, dormant. Elias leaned back, heart racing. What kind of structure transmits coded signals and shifts terrain? Neither answered. 3 days later, they returned. No crawler this time. The vehicle had refused to start, though diagnostics showed no faults. As if something didn't want them returning. They went on foot, trudging through a relentless white void until the fissure appeared again, wider than before. Waiting. Ren descended first, crampons scraping the ice. The interior walls were smoother now, less natural, almost sculpted. Runes, no markings, lined the walls. Symbols that pulsed faintly with blue light beneath the frost. He reached the base and stopped. A metallic surface, circular and sealed. In its center, a handprint-sized recess. Cross joined him, staring at the seal. "No one knows this is here," she said. "They will," Ren replied. He removed his glove and placed his hand on the surface. At first, nothing. Then a click. The wall vibrated, the seal glowing as lines etched into the metal began to move, realign, rotate. The ground beneath them shuddered, and from the wall came a sound like distant thunder. A door formed and opened. Beyond it, a sloping corridor descended into blackness, the air suddenly warm and dry. Ren stepped forward, the scanner now dead in his hand. "We don't know what's in there," Cross warned. "We didn't come this far to stop at the door." He entered. She followed. The corridor swallowed them, the door closing behind with a sound too deliberate for nature. Darkness fell, but ahead, dim lights flickered awake, one by one, stretching deep into the unknown. And somewhere below, a pulse echoed, steady, rhythmic. Not mechanical, biological. The air tasted older than time. Ren whispered, "This isn't a ruin." Cross's voice was barely audible. "It's a warning." Then silence. The ice remained silent. The passage stretched deeper than Ren had anticipated. Its walls were smooth, yet not quite man-made, not quite natural. There was an organic quality to the way the metal shimmered, as if it were breathing, alive, somehow. Cross was right behind him, her breath shallow as they moved through the corridor. The lights flickered again, casting long shadows across the uneven ground. It felt like they were being watched. No, more than that, anticipated. The pulse, steady as a heartbeat, reverberated through the walls, filling the air with a low, unnerving hum. Every step took them further into the dark heart of the ice. Ren glanced at Cross, her face pale, eyes wide, but her resolve was unwavering. She had followed him this far. Neither would turn back. Ahead, the corridor opened into a cavernous chamber. The first thing Ren noticed was the stillness. Everything inside, from the jagged rock formations to the sprawling metallic constructs, was frozen in a moment of quiet chaos. But there was a distinct order to the chaos, something deliberate, a design. At the far end of the chamber, an enormous obelisk-like structure rose, made of the same metallic material as the walls. It stood at least 20 feet tall, its surface covered with symbols that matched the ones etched into the walls outside. "Is this?" Ren's voice faltered. "What is this?" Cross moved closer, cautiously, as though she feared touching it might trigger something. "This is older than anything we've ever seen," she said softly. "Not just man-made, crafted." Ren stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the obelisk. There was something about it, something familiar in the way the symbols curved and shifted, almost like an ancient language. He could almost feel it in his bones, the magnetic pull of the thing. And then there was a sound, a low hum. It grew louder, vibrating through the air. The obelisk shimmered, its surface beginning to shift and warp like liquid glass. The room seemed to hold its breath. Ren reached out, fingers trembling, but before he could touch it, a voice broke through the stillness. A voice that wasn't theirs. "Do not touch it." The words were soft but clear, reverberating around the chamber as if spoken by the walls themselves. Ren froze, every muscle tensing. "Who's there?" he demanded, his voice echoing in the cavern. A figure stepped from the shadows. It was not human. It resembled a man but was impossibly tall, its skin pale and iridescent, like a translucent shell. Its eyes glowed faintly, bright as the stars. And its presence. It filled the space with a sense of weight that seemed to bend reality. Ren took a step back. What are you?" The figure tilted its head, its expression unreadable. "I am a keeper. This place is a sanctuary, and it has been for millennia." Cross stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "A sanctuary? From what?" The figure's eyes shifted toward her. "From those who would misuse it. From those who would awaken what should remain silent." A chill ran down Ren's spine. "What is it?" The keeper did not answer immediately. Instead, it looked past them, toward the obelisk. Its eyes darkened. "The world has forgotten. The barrier was created to keep you safe, to keep it from reaching you." Ren's mind raced. What is behind the ice wall? What have we found? The keeper stepped closer, its form towering over them. The wall is not just a barrier. It is a prison. Prison, Ren echoed. For what? The keeper's gaze hardened, and for a fleeting moment, Ren saw something ancient in its eyes. For the one who was once like you, and who now sleeps. The air grew colder. The obelisk pulsed, the symbols shifting faster now, like they were waking, alive. Do you understand? The keeper asked. You are not meant to be here. Suddenly, the chamber quaked, the walls rattling. A deep, guttural roar echoed through the corridors, shaking the very foundations of the ice. The pulse from the obelisk grew louder, like the beating of a heart, an ancient, malevolent heart. We have only just begun, the keeper murmured. And then, as if the world had torn itself apart, the ice wall shuddered. Ren stumbled back, his heart racing. We have to leave. Now. But as they turned to flee, the chamber began to seal itself, walls closing, the passage they had entered vanishing into nothing. Behind them, the roar grew louder, closer, and in the distance, the faintest whisper of a name echoed from the darkness. A name that had been forgotten for centuries.